Hi, my name is Ellen Mueller, and I am the director of the MFA program at MCAD, Minneapolis College of Art and Design. And I'm here to talk to you about preparing grad school applications. So, an overview of this presentation is we're going to start talking about self-reflection, research, writing, photography, and letters. So, to start with, self-reflection. Before you apply to grad school, this is really important. You need to ask yourself why. Why do you want to go? What do you hope to get out of it? You're not really going to be able to achieve what you're hoping for unless you have really clearly articulated what it is you're looking for. So, some examples of what grad school can provide and some reasons why you might go is mentorship or particular skills. Maybe you're really working on getting a more disciplined studio practice. You're definitely going to meet like-minded folks when you're in grad school, so that's a big plus. And helping you learn how to talk about your work is a huge benefit of grad school. You're going to be able to learn about the historical and theoretical underpinnings and then be able to talk about it with others, which is really valuable. Also, grad school can provide a variety of facilities and tools. Most grad schools provide a studio of some sort, either solo or shared studios. And definitely you're going to be networking. You're going to meet a lot of different practicing professionals. You might be going for the credential. As you know, the MFA is required for teaching in higher ed. Access to funding. There are a lot of different grants, loans, etc., that look kindly on having an MFA, and that might be one reason you're working in that direction. Also, there might be an interest in study abroad or certain internships that are only accessible through a graduate program. So I would strongly recommend starting out with an analysis of your strengths. And then on the flip side of that, what areas would you like to improve? And when you have those two lists of what you want to improve and what are you already really good at, that can help start to narrow your selection of which schools might be the best fit. Your answers are going to be really important raw material in answering the essay questions on applications as well. So actually write those down or type those up because that material will become useful. So then you're going to need to do some research. Go to the website for each school that you're interested in, check it out, actually read the mission, look at the curriculum, look at what their courses are described as, who have been some of the recent visiting artists, etc. And look at the work of recent faculty, certainly. Consider talking to other artists, designers, professors, advisors. Talk to a lot of people about your idea of going to grad school. And what you will find is they will have very different opinions about grad school, and all of that is really important to hear, consider, and weigh as you're making your decision. So all of that research, all of those conversations, all of that brainstorming will help you determine which program might be correct and how to craft content for each program structure. You're going to have to do some writing. You'll find out exactly what you have to write for each application because they're not all the same. Some will ask you questions, while others might ask you to submit statements or essays. The most important part, though, is follow the directions. If you don't follow the directions for some schools, that is the perfect excuse to cut your application because some schools get so many applications they really need a way to cull the collection down to a manageable size. So be clear, concise in your writing. Do not submit the exact same answers to every school. They can totally tell. That is really, really vital and important. And certainly check to make sure if you are using pieces of your statement in each application that you don't accidentally copy and paste one school's name into another school's application process. For artist statements, I'd advise think about what are the main ideas of your work, how have those ideas evolved over time, and what do they need to know about your work to get a strong sense of understanding. If you address those 3 points, you're going to end up with a pretty clear artist statement. And you might find that it's difficult. Writing an artist statement is no easy feat, especially if you're writing for someone who has never seen your work before. So also be aware that it should be about the work. It should be about the subject, the form, the content, and the context of your work. Sometimes it can also be helpful to think in a who, what, where, why, when format. Sometimes that's a useful way to think about getting content for your artist statement. Whatever works for you to get that to be a really clear and descriptive essay. For statements of intent, this can sometimes be phrased as, why do you want to go to grad school? For these statements, don't be afraid to be honest. It's okay to say, I have hit a wall in my practice. I can't answer my own questions anymore, and I am eager or hungry for outside input. That is an excellent reason to go to graduate school. Also, if your grades from college are very poor, you can address that in your written statement. Generally speaking, MFA programs do not typically require a minimum GPA, but they want to see that you are a hardworking individual. So you can address any weaknesses in your statement of intent. Also, get some friends, some mentors to read what you've written and provide constructive feedback. That feedback is really invaluable in making sure that you have the strongest possible statement. And then documentation. This is vital. A lot of places look at your work first before anything else. So be aware that you have to have excellent documentation. In most cases, it's going to be around 10 to 20 pieces. Do not provide more than the max. A lot of portfolio sites won't even let you do that, but if you have the freedom to provide more, do not. Stick to the numbers they provide. And the reason for that is because faculty who are reviewing these admissions packets, they are going to be going through so many of them that if you haven't followed the directions, they're probably going to toss you out. The work should be recent. A good rule of thumb is within the past 2 to 3 years. They're not looking for a retrospective of your career. They're really looking for the most recent work. What are you making right now? And do not do this. Do not squeeze multiple images into a single image. Just put one image on each slide. Don't make collages, use templates, or add text. The reason for that is when you see an image like this, your first impulse is to zoom in, and sometimes that's not possible on all platforms or on all screens. Make it easy. You want to make an excellent, high-quality viewing experience that requires no action on behalf of the reviewer. Just show excellent, clear images that do not require zooming. Faculty want to see a clear and cohesive practice, so consider the big ideas and concepts in your work and use those as a guide to pick or group your works together. Avoid best of collections or a showcase of every single idea or skill you have. This will appear all the time, and it will not be reflective of a particular artistic vision. A classic example of this is sometimes people put in an image of every medium that they've worked in. So just because you've taken a ceramics class doesn't mean that you should include ceramics in your portfolio if it's not part of the overarching theme or concept that you're most interested in. And does that mean that every single work needs to be from one series or one medium? No, but there should be a conceptual thread to follow. So make sure you've been demonstrating that you know how to make a body of work. Also, keep in mind that your portfolio should represent your potential. So this is your chance to show the faculty the pieces or ideas that you want them to help you develop. So show that you have an ability to grow. And make sure that the documentation photos or videos are crisp and well lit. And if it's an audio piece, make sure that it is very clearly recorded. So for whatever medium you're working in, consider investing in a professional who can help you do justice to your work, especially in the case of three-dimensional pieces. Getting the right light and shadow can really help a person understand what they're looking at. Poor lighting, blurring, discoloration, bad audio, weak setups, and low resolution all diminishes the presentation of your work. Your work might be gorgeous in person, but if the documentation doesn't capture it, the faculty members have no way of knowing. And this leads me to asking for a portfolio review. You can ask for a portfolio review from any school that you're applying to. Some schools will do it, some schools won't, but it's always a good idea to ask. And for example, I put the link here for MCAD's Ask for a Critique link. Letters. A lot of schools still require letters. Choose art professors and advisors that you have worked closely with. It could also be if you've worked out in the field, you've done an internship at a gallery or other art institutions, maybe you're an art educator at a museum or something. Those will be the most helpful letter writers. These are people who can speak to your artistic potential and your work ethic. You can ask people in the art world, as I just mentioned. We want people who can attest to your ability to commit to your practice and any kind of growth that they've seen you have. A former employer who isn't necessarily familiar with your artwork is acceptable, so long as they can speak to your character, your dedication, and determination, because all of those are vital while you're in grad school. You could also ask an artist that you know or have assisted. They might write a good letter of recommendation as well. So, very important, get in touch with your recommenders early. They are usually very busy people. Provide plenty of information, such as the deadlines for the letter. Every grad school has a different application deadline. Copies of your essay answers. These are important so they know what you've said to the reviewers, your most recent resume or CV, images that you'll be submitting. You want to make it as easy as possible for them because, again, they don't have a lot of time and you want to make sure you have a positive relationship with them after you've asked for the letters. So, to recap, we talked about first and foremost, you've got to do self-reflection. Be really honest with yourself and write all of that down. Next, you're going to research a whole bunch of different schools, find out which ones truly suit your purposes, because not all programs do. Then you're going to spend some time writing, and you're going to get revisions and feedback from others. And then next, you're going to engage in photography or other documentation, depending on what medium you're working in. And then finally, letters. You've got to get those letters early, and you've got to provide lots of support to your letter writers. So if you engage in those 5 items, you're going to be really well set up for a successful graduate application process.